Well, hi guys. This is Isaac with Fun Football Podcast, and we are gonna do a fantasy. I'm really excited. We've been talking about this. We're gonna do a fantasy dynasty mock draft. I know free agency this week. I'll have some live shows. But Dad, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Isaac. Thanks for
All
having me
right.
on.
Yeah, let's do it. So we're gonna do the first round. We're gonna alternate teams. Since you're the guest, I'm gonna let you pick. We'll just do one team, one person's odds, and one is evens. I've got a list. I'll be putting them in the background, and I'll show you guys periodically throughout. But we're just gonna tell you our picks of players, give you our breakdown on the players and why they should go at that position. And I think this should be a lot of fun. Honestly, this will be cool. Me and him have been doing a bunch of dynasty mock drafts, but this I think will be a really cool way to do it. So, Dad, do you want first pick or do you want evens or odds?
I'll take evens. I'll give you the honor of doing the first pick.
Okay, all right,
In
let's
in
do
our
it.
dynasty league, I have second pick, so that would make sense, and fifth.
So people that play dynasty know that we're doing rookies only here. So let's go ahead and go to it. I think this is a pretty much a no brainer for the first pick, honestly. Uh, like
So you're doing the
I there's
101 right
there's
now.
a guy I'm doing the 101, and there's a guy I can't pass up, and I'll read him to you guys.
Oh,
His name is Mr. Ashton Genty. I'm
hold on,
taking him number
Isaac.
one overall. Hmm.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but just so everybody knows, this is not a super flex. It's a regular one quarterback league, right? Okay.
Oh, good call, Dad. Yep. So yeah, we're in the same dynasty league. It's not a super flex. It's a PPR overall. I should have said all this in the beginning. It's my first one, so I'm just excited to get into it. But it's a
Awesome.
I actually do. I actually have three second round picks. Unfortunately, he's got Dad. You have the second and fifth pick, right? So
That
this
is
will be good
correct.
for you.
I've traded
So
up.
you got the second and fifth. He's traded up. He got the second and fifth pick. I've got three second round picks, and there's 6 rounds. But today we're just gonna do the first round. In future dynasty mocks, we might do the second, the third. We'll probably do all of these through the summer. So this one, I'm gonna take. I've got the number one pick overall. It is a PPR. It's not a super flex. I'm gonna go with I think the no brainer pick. Some people would argue it's Tet McMillan or Buka. That's something I'm seeing, or Marion Hampton, given some future names. But I'm gonna go with Ashton Genty. He looks special. Um, the guy is so dynamic. I'm a little concerned about the 5'9" frame, but he's built. And the more I'm watching tape on him, what's special isn't anything physically, even though I like the total package. Uh, and he's not even quite 5'9" by some measurements, but and the speed is good. It's not super elite. So he's got solid size, solid speed, but what makes him special is his contact balance. He takes a hit and he just keeps going. It doesn't knock him down. And I think he's going to be special as a receiver as well. Look at some of just look at this guy's stats. This is ridiculous. From sophomore year, he just projected up. He had over 2,700 yards from scrimmage with over 2,600 rushing yards and 29 touchdowns, starting the season with 267 yards and 6 touchdowns. Ridiculous. His career at Boise State, he had almost 4,800 rushing yards in just 3 years, 6.4 yards per carry, 50 rushing TDs, and through the 3 years, 862 receiving yards. I think he can be a dual threat. I love. I mean, people have been trying to trade up to number one just to get this guy in our league. Somebody gave up CD Lamb for him. This just happened. I could throw up the trade later on, but Dad, do you have anything to add about Genty? I know you like
Oh
him even more
yeah,
than I do.
a lot to
Let's
add.
go.
His NFL draft capital coming into the NFL draft coming up in April, about a month away, month and a half. Some people are saying he's going to get like Jameer Gibbs, Bijan Robinson type of draft capital, right? He's going to be in. He could be in the top 10. He probably will be either in the top 10 or the top 12, 13 teams.
Mhm.
And from a dynasty perspective, probably the one of the best prospects to come out, in the last 7 to 8 years. He's a
Mhm.
top shelf prospect. So if you draft this guy, what we're looking at is you'll have a top five dynasty running back. Period. because that's where he's going to be ranked. He's going to be ranked like 3, 4, 5 in all of dynasty running backs. For if you were starting up a new dynasty league, that's where he's coming in. And he has his ceiling is very, very high. Some of the comps I've seen on him are like a mini Marshawn Lynch. His contact balance, he's a pinball out there. He really does just kind of bounce off people. And I've never seen a running back like that. I mean, Barry Sanders finessed his way around people, right? And he could definitely bounce off people. Um, but this guy, he looks like a pinball almost to me when he's out there, and he does it. His contact balance, I don't think we've seen. I don't know if I've seen it before in a prospect. So that's my take on Genty. Clearly, the 101 in the drafts, in the dynasty rookie drafts.
And on fantasy ADP, it's pretty exciting. He's he's actually up to 22nd overall. So he's already the running back 7 in just dynasty rankings right now. Like you said, he looks like a
That
home
will
run
go
hitter,
that's gonna go up. That's
probably.
gonna go up.
The guys in front of him, he's got
Once
Jonathan
they
Taylor in front of him and Brees
yeah,
Hall, and I could see him possibly overtaking both those guys.
once they get a location on him, that'll probably go up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing that the Raiders might be looking at him, I think at 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's somewhere I've heard too.
so there's a lot of good landing spots for him. He won't fall. I don't think he'll fall past 10. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I
And
love this
there's a
because I'm
little
gonna.
bit of a running back resurgence happening in the NFL as well. So he could go even higher than 6, which would be interesting.
That would be. So what's really funny is, what's really interesting to me is what you're gonna do now. I, I'm, I have a prediction, but I'm
So
curious
wait,
what you're thinking.
that's the
Because
101. Are we done talking about the
that was
101?
that was number
All right.
101. Let's go
All
on to
right.
102. I want to know who you're gonna take. Ashton Genty is an amazing prospect. I could do a whole video on him. He looks incredible. I would give up a lot of draft capital to move up to get him. I think the Cowboys would be very wise to draft him. The Raiders at 6, I would just do it if they can't get a QB they like. There, this guy, of all the highlights I've watched on people and everything I've read, which has been probably over 100 players now, um, he might be my favorite prospect in the entire draft. No joke.
Oh, he's
Like, as
definitely
much as
my
I like
favorite
Abdul
prospect.
Carter, he is my
Yeah.
favorite. I love running backs though. I think Ted's a really good prospect. I really like Omarion Hampton, but Genty, if I was drafting number 1, if I was Tennessee, I'd just do it. But they're not going to.
Um,
But I would consider it absolutely.
there's also I read somewhere where Vegas could take Genty and then trade back into the first round for like a Jackson Dart if they like Jackson Dart. Um,
Ooh, see,
you know
that's
what I
fun.
mean?
That's fun.
And get their backfield set
I
up.
like that.
So
I like it. I like it a lot. So okay, all right. You're pick number 2 here. We're doing
am I on
all
the
12
clock?
picks. We're gonna bounce back and forth. You're on the clock.
How much time I got? No, I'm just kidding. This to me is really this is a decision between the number 1 receiver, which is in most people's rankings and most people's opinions is Tet McMillan. He's a 6'4.5". I think he might just come out at 6'5". I haven't looked at the actual combine heights and weights for players since last weekend, but or Omarion Hampton. So I am going to go with Omarion Hampton here. I know that receivers have a much longer shelf life in football and also in Dynasty, but um, my team in Dynasty needs an RB2, needs about 3 RB2s because I've traded one of them away. That's the reason I have. Actually, I traded Terry McLaurin away for the team's first round, second round, and third round picks in this year's draft, which is why I have 2 picks.
Wow.
But that doesn't matter. Omarion Hampton hits all of the benchmarks that he needs to hit to be a 3 down plus running back in the NFL. Take a look at his combine results. I think he ran a 4 in the 4.4s at 220 plus pounds. He's is he 6 foot or 6'1", 220? What's his size, Isaac?
He bench pressed 225 pounds 18 times. He ran a 4.4640. He is
Four
6
four
feet
six.
221, and he ran
He
the
jumped
20-yard shuttle in 4.4 seconds.
and he had a great vert and he had a great jump, showing
And the Broncos
explosion.
met with him.
Everything looks like it could be very pretty special. He doesn't. He's kind of like a battering ram. He will pick a lane and go through it, and he can. He has the speed to be able to run. To be able to run away from a lot of the players. I just really think this guy is he's a plus running back starter in the NFL. Could be a top five talent. Could be in the NFL. We don't know, but he will definitely come in and be a dynasty starter. He's going to be an RB1, and I value that highly because running back positions are so volatile in dynasty. I like what I get with this guy. He's a beast, physical beast. What's his size, Isaac? Is he 6 foot or 6'1"?
6 foot 221.
So he at 6 foot 221, he ran a 4.4640, which
Yep.
was very, very good. He's very athletic. Um, he had a great seasons at North Carolina. Uh, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So his comp is kind of like a Jonathan Taylor, but better at catching the ball out of the backfield. That's his
Mm-hmm.
comp. I really like that. So I want to add that to my team. That's why I'm going with Amarin Hampton, number 2 overall. Um, and that's my pick. Do you have any more to add to that?
All right. That's good breakdown, man. For
Thank
Hampton,
you.
you know what? He reminds me of Derrick Henry. I think he's got he's got really good power between the tackles, but he's also fast enough to break away, and he's got the size. He's not 250 pounds like Derrick Henry. But when I saw him run, he reminded me of that a little bit. He's 20 pounds lighter, but he ran with power and he had the ability to pull away. That's rare. Um, like when I watched Travion Henderson, I just saw a dude who can rip away from people, and I liked his strength, but it wasn't even close to what Hampton's got. Hampton, I think, can handle 28 carries a game. He looks like a guy who can be a workhorse back. He looks better than several of the starting running backs in the NFL right now. I think he'd be an upgrade for a lot of rosters. I kind of hope he comes in and either gets the bell cow role or if he lands on it depends on what team he lands on, but I'm not going to be
Mhm.
upset if they control his role the first year and let him build into it. Like Derrick Henry didn't take over early on in his career, and look, he's still playing at 30 now. He got to
Same
get
with
his
Bijan
feet
Robinson, right?
wet.
So
I'm not going to be upset if he lands in one of those situations where he's splitting with one other dude, but he steals the job. I could see that. I really like Omarion
yeah,
Hampton. I honestly, I would take him. I probably would have taken him at number 2 as well. So,
awesome.
and that's why you want to be at number 2, Dad.
I'm there
I like it. Okay. So at receiver,
on the clock at number 3
at number
pick.
3, as much as I like Travion Henderson, who would probably be my next, yep, a lot, but I got to go with Ted McMillan here. He is a stud. This guy, seriously, 6'4", 4.5. It looks like 40. Um, only 21 years old. He'll be 22 in April, right before the NFL draft. Very young, but this guy, 1,300 receiving yards, 84 catches. What I liked about him was he reminded me of Megatron. He's just a little slender. He's 6'5". I'd like to see him build up just a little more. Um,
Sure.
he looks like a complete receiver to me. I don't see the game breaking speed of Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr., but he looks like he's going to be able to step in and be an instant starter for teams. And I think the
Yeah.
latest he should get drafted in the actual NFL draft is number 10. I think in Dynasty rookie drafts this fall, whenever y'all do your drafts, if you do them in May after the NFL draft, or you do them in June, July, or August, this summer, fall, I can't see this guy falling past like 4. I'm gonna be surprised. Even if a quarterback goes, if he goes past 4 or 5, then you got to steal. This kid looks like the real deal. Dude, I
Nice.
mean, look what he did is
There's no arguing that.
his sophomore year.
I think with Tet, it's
He
like
looks awesome.
he's very fluid in he's very fluid for a 6'5" guy. So
Yeah.
he can manipulate well, and he's got great contested catch because of his size and his wingspan. Um, he is gonna make a big impact on the NFL. He's kind of a Drake London comp, right? Maybe a little bit of Mike Evans
Yeah,
too, but um, but that's a good solid pick. We're going to
I
number
like the Mike
4.
Evans comp. I like the Mike Evans and the Drake London comp, and he was one of my favorite people I watched tape on. I just don't know if he's got the. I saw
You're
solid acceleration.
I'm having trouble hearing understanding you for some reason.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me? I don't know that was weird.
It was
Might be
almost
just
like
my.
we weren't getting a good signal.
Oh, great. Anyways, I love the Ted McMillan pick here.
You
I
want to
think that
pause
he
it
is.
and check to see if it's part of the broadcast?
I'd have to end the recording. I don't think it'll
Oh,
let me listen to it, so it's okay. I'll listen back before I upload it. It's okay. So, all right, people watching. So we've got our first 3 picks. Were we had Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Tet McMillan. Tet, I'm hoping he's as good as what I've been seeing on tape and reading. Um, like I said, I think the latest he goes is 10th, but I really liked what I saw for his size. He had pretty solid acceleration and wiggle. Um, I'd like to see him beef up a little bit. I think he's a little slender. That's one of my only concerns with him. Otherwise, I see a really really good prospect. I'd give him like a B plus, A minus grade overall. Um, I'm curious to see how this guy does in the NFL and who actually drafts him. Okay, number 4, Dad, you are up.
okay.
Who are
I'm
you
gonna
taking here?
speed it up a little bit, and I'm gonna just say it's Trevion Henderson for me.
Oh, all
He's
right.
kind of he's very explosive. He's a great pass blocker, by the way. And to me, he's kind of like a Jameer Gibbs light. You're not getting
Mm-hmm.
all of the traits of a Jameer Gibbs, but you're getting somebody who is his explosive play rate um, uh, percentage is really high. So he can hit the home run from any place on the field. He doesn't need to be a 3 down back to be a great fantasy asset, and he probably won't be. I would to make his career last, he should be teamed with more of a between the tackles guy. But he can run between the tackles. He's stronger than he looks. And again, he's a very very good pass blocker. So I like Travion Anderson here. That's my take. That's number 4.
Good pick. Yeah, I really liked his explosiveness. He can break away. What I was seeing from Hampton, where I was surprised he was able to break away, Henderson looked like he was shot out of a cannon. I love the acceleration. I do see a more of a part-time player than Hampton though, so I like that. I think timeshare might be the best situation for him. Good pick though. There's a chance he ends up like being an RB1 though. That's what I could see for him.
Of
This
course.
is an interesting pick here. This is an interesting pick because while I like the running backs here, this one's actually where it starts getting tough. I feel like the first 4 make a lot of sense. Um, and as much as I like Igbuka, I think I'm going to go with the receiver, and it's not Igbuka. I think where I'm going to go here is the guy I would love for the Packers to get. I know a lot of people like Matthew Golden better or Igbuka. They grade out pretty similarly, but I'm a big Luther Burden guy. As much as I like Matthew Golden running a 4.29, Burden 6 feet 206. He's compact. We were talking about this other day. Strong receiver. Ran a 4.41, which is very good speed to be faster than anybody on the Packers, faster than a lot of teams' best receivers. Um, was a 5-star recruit. I just like what he did his final season. 1,100, almost 1,200 yards, 20 touchdowns. I saw a dude who could change direction quickly. He can get a catch. He's going to be a big yards after the catch guy. He's going to have a lot of yak. He can spin around, make. Yeah, I saw that not just on his highlight reels, but I kept watching game tape on him. And the more I saw him, he is really tough to bring down in space if he's got an inch of space. Um, looks like he'll fight for yardage. Um, I don't know. The only thing was his
It's a
drop in
good
production.
it's a good
His
pick
junior year.
because
That's the only concern.
he could be the best receiver in this class, and what I've seen in a lot of the what I'm looking at with other fantasy people is that there's a lot of comparisons to like uh, a Jamar Chase esque player who can
Mhm.
separate and do very special things, out in routes and after he catches the ball, his yak. Not that that's for sure, but
Mhm.
his ceiling could be off the charts, which is why it puts him in this range, and I would consider him here at 5 for sure. So that's a good pick because if he hits, he could be the best. He's could be the best receiver of the class if he hits, because he's got some special abilities as a receiver that none of the other receivers have in this draft.
I agree.
Um,
The only concern was his drop in production, but the whole passing attack did. It looked like it was more of the quarterback, and he had shoulder and arm injuries and an illness that they're talking about. But his play dropped off significantly. But sometimes that's more situational, like they're saying, and I think
hmm.
that that's the case. What I saw on tape was a dude. If he were to shockingly fall to the Packers at 23, I'd be very happy. I think he goes by 15 at the latest. I'm going to be surprised if he falls past there,
Yeah, he'll be a first round draft capital for sure.
especially
Are
with all
we
these moves at receiver
moving
now.
on? What's that?
Yeah, especially yeah. So I took Burden. Let's go to 6. I was saying with all these teams that the moves they made at receiver, this is going to be really interesting. What like Devontae Adams, he just went to the. This is the night before free agency. Devontae Adams just went to the Rams. Uh, Cooper Cup's going to be available. DK Metcalf just got traded to the Steelers. I was shocked by that. Um,
Right.
I knew he probably wouldn't go to the Packers, but I was a little surprised by the Steelers. But good for them for finally getting a number one receiver because they haven't had one. Truthfully, I don't think Pickens is it. They haven't had one since Antonio Brown. It's been a minute. This is the best receiver they've had since Antonio Brown, and they need it because their offense has just been anemic for years now. So good for the Steelers. But all right, yeah, let's go to number 6. Dad, who are you thinking
No,
here?
number 6. I mean, we've got 2 receivers off the board, 3 running backs, right? No quarterbacks yet. No
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks yet, and that's unusual for because quarterbacks are pretty valuable in fantasy, and generally they get. I mean, Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, they're going to be top 1, 2, 3, 4 picks probably in the NFL draft. They're going to get capital, which means they're gonna get ample opportunity to prove themselves on the field. With that said, I'm not going quarterback. I'm going to go with Tyler Warren, the tight end.
Oh, all
He's
right.
just very NFL ready, and he's going to add some other playmaker ability, not just being a top level tight end. He can run the ball sometimes for teams. He can be more of that H back role. This guy should hit pretty well in the NFL, and having a top level tight end in Dynasty does give you some good advantage. I like him here at 6. I think he's worthy of the pick. He's gonna in the NFL. He's probably going to be taken in the top 15. I
Mm-hmm.
can see two or two tight ends going in the 2 or 3 tight ends going in the NFL's draft in the first round. The tight end class is top heavy. I think there's 3 or 4 that I really like, and then I think it falls off. But and Tyler Warren is the top of that, so I'm going to take him at 6 and be happy with it. Um, that's
Okay.
my take on Ty Warren.
I like it because he also had 6 rushing TDs. So if he had that dynamic dual threat element, and I mean, teams are doing
Yeah,
that now. The Packers use Tucker Craft in motion on sneaks. Teams are using players in multiple ways more and more frequently now.
for
There's a
sure.
possibility a team actually, I can't see Travis Hunter really actually playing both ways, but I can see I do think there's a chance that Tyler Warren is a little bit of a running back threat as well. With the tush push probably not getting banned, he could be a really good
Right.
option for that. Um, he was a he was that the hybrid weapon, the premier hybrid weapon of 2024, and that 224-yard masterpiece against USC, that was just ridiculous. It's awesome. So great pick. I love it. I'm up here, and as much as I like Ibuka, and I do, I'm a little worried about his straight line speed. And you know me, I love running backs, but I'm gonna actually go with another receiver here. I think if I'm at 7 and Matthew Golden's available, I think you just take him. This dude, he's a little light,
Nice.
5'11", 190, but 4.29 speed. You saw the Chiefs figure out how to use Worthy by the end of the season, and he started looking like an actual stud by the end of the season. Um,
Yeah.
this guy, the speed is just ridiculous. I love what he did. Uh, yeah, his high school days hinted at it. He ran a 10-9 100-meter dash. He's got track level speed. I love what he did where he started all 15 games and then he had 162 yards in the SEC championship and that touchdown catch in the Peach Bowl. That was awesome. Um, I think there's a chance that he actually contributes on special teams as well. If he's there at 23 for the Packers, I don't think he's going to be. I think he's going to go because of that 40, and not just the 40, but the 40 is a big difference. I think he's going to go in the top 20 of the draft. I think he's just going to fall out of reach for the Packers
I
unless
think
they
so.
trade up for him. Yeah, I think you agree with that one too. I know you like him. We've talked about him. Um,
Yeah.
so
Good pick.
I'm typing these down. Yeah, I mean, you just I want him to fall to me at 14 overall, but he's not gonna. So, all right, we're 7 picks in. You're up at number 8. What's your pick?
Number 8, I cannot ignore Caleb Johnson here.
Yeah, good
I
pick.
know that his speed at the combine was a bit of a disappointment for some, but with
Actually,
Caleb Johnson, he's just a strider, and he's more finesse than you might think in his running. Um, and what I mean by that is he
4.57.
he's 4.57,
Mm-hmm.
but he has the way he finds the holes and he continues forward. He's a glider to me. I know in his offensive line was just creating really good holes for him. I see that on the tape, but I also see a guy that can make people miss with it's not your jump cuts or your great elusiveness, but he's just a naturally gifted runner, and I think he's gonna more than just succeed in the NFL. I think he could be I think he could be pretty really good. His NFL comps, um, if I'm remembering right, are like Brees Hall type
Pretty
with
good.
not quite the speed. I think he looks a little bit like Jacobs, only he's bigger. But that's just my thinking. Either way, he's gonna be a
Brian,
starting.
Brian,
What do they got for his
Brian
comps?
Robinson Jr. Brian Robinson Jr. is the second highest comp. Secondre White from South Carolina, and then Zach
Okay.
Charbonnet. So Brian
Eh,
Robinson.
Yeah.
So watch the
I
Commanders.
see better than Brian Robinson Jr. In the way he runs. He's more natural. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I like him especially, and I think he will be a day 2 pick for sure. I think he'll go in the second round. A team will put him in that role. So I'm gonna go with Caleb and be happy with it because I believe in the guy. I like what I see on tape.
Do you think he's going to be a future NFL starter? Do you think he's got the speed?
Yeah, I do. I think he's got enough of a burst. He doesn't have that home run speed, but he's got enough, and he's got enough finesse. His footwork is better than you might think. He's got enough to get through the line of scrimmage to get by, blitzers and those types of things. So I do think he's a plus RB starter, and that's my opinion. That's why I took him there
I like it.
above Egbuka.
He had 8 100-yard games, a 200-yard. He had multiple 200-yard games. A 206 yard game against Minnesota was awesome. 1,537 yards total. 23 total touchdowns, 21 rushing, 2 receiving as a in his final season, one of the best years in Iowa history. Stuff like that does resonate. So I'm curious how
Yeah.
it's gonna go into the NFL. But I'm not sure if he has the speed to be like a multiple like a perennial Pro Bowler, but he might have the power. So we're gonna find out because he's a load. He's tough to bring down. Okay, there's some guys here that I like. I still see Buka. I see Kinshawn Judkins. You took Caleb Johnson. That was awesome. Um,
What pick are we on? Number 9?
we're on pick number 9, and I think where I'm gonna go is, I probably should go quarterback. I know somebody will. It's probably realistic to take a quarterback because I think even in this weaker class, somebody's gonna do it. But I like Kinshawn Judkins. I really, really do. And
Tested well.
I think his size and speed overall are great. But I actually am more of a fan of Dylan Sampson at the moment. He's 5'8", 200,
Oh, switched it
four
up.
three five speed. I did. He's only 20. He's only going to be 21 when the season
Young.
right after the season starts. Actually, super young. He compares to Blake Corum, Jalen Wright, Michael Carter. He shattered Eddie Lacy's rushing records at his high school. 4.0 GPA. You gotta like that. The brilliance, the speed that I saw on tape when I watched him, that was my favorite thing. That junior campaign, he was a full-time starter too. That's another thing I like. That's one thing I worry about with Travion Henderson. This dude's
Wow.
got that electric speed, almost 1,500 yards rushing, 22 TDs overall, consecutive games, 11 of them with a touchdown.
Hmm.
He was against the SEC. He had over 1,000 yards. Um, Second in Tennessee history. I just really like this guy's speed. I think that he's electric. Um, I, I see a future starter. I could be wrong here. He's one I'm hoping sneaks into the second round. Shouldn't be giving this stuff away, but I'm doing this. I got to do this fairly. If Dylan Sampson was there at 9, I'd take him and be happy with it. Absolutely, I think
Wow,
he's a
you
great
passed
pick.
on Egbuka for Samson.
I did. I did. I like Sampson. It was close. I needed this might change after their pro days. This is like we're in March 9th. It's early
Yeah.
still. We guess we got like 6 weeks to the draft. But all right, you're up
So
at
that
10.
was
You got
number 9.
that was number
And
9. We're at 10.
I'm at 10.
You want a Buka?
And no, I'm going to do, what should have been done earlier and pick the top quarterback because
I agree.
Dynasty, you need quarterbacks. And this
Mhm,
guy probably goes number 1 in the NFL draft. It's going to be Cam Ward.
mhm,
What I understand about Ward is he can make all the throws, which is
mhm.
good. Um, he's not going to be a big time runner. He doesn't have that. That's not his skill set. But um, he can either make the great play or make the mistake play, right?
Mhm.
And that's kind of where you're coming at with Cam Ward, which is probably why he drops down in the dynasty draft to this level. But hey, those things can be corrected. Josh Allen had some of those issues coming out, right? Um,
Yeah.
so it's 10. We're at 10. And this is the first quarterback off the board. He's got to come off. And he's when he gets picked number 1 or 2 overall, and wherever he goes, he's going to get the opportunity to be a future star. You get a quarterback for 10, 12 years, right? And if he's pretty good, it's worth the shot here at 10. So what do you have on Cam Ward, Isaac? Anything you want to add?
Well, here's my question. Did they ever answer why he went out of that game at halftime? That's my biggest question with him. Other than that, I mean, he looks like he's going to be I think he's actually going to be a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. I'm not sure. I disagree with the people that think there's not one in this draft. It's really rare for a draft to have no future starting quarterbacks. Like typically a guy starts at least a season or two at the very
Sure.
least, but it's really
What
rare to have a full bust draft. But my concern is why did he go out of that game from the Pop Tarts Bowl?
I'm
Like,
not sure. I'm not sure.
no one knows, and that's such a weird question mark to have about a guy. My other question marks are if he's refined enough. His passing down the field. I'm reading on him right now. He relies too heavily on arm talent. throws off his back foot. It sounds like Jordan Love. Sounds like Aaron Rodgers. The ball security is a concern. He had 8 fumbles despite his improved pocket awareness. That deep ball accuracy after 45 yards too. That's a concern. And I
Not.
like
Here's the thing. Here's what I understand about Ward is that he doesn't check down. He doesn't like to check down. He goes for the big play more often than not, or tries to extend the play too often, which is why that ball security is an issue because he's fairly consistently trying to to extend a play or make a big play, and that needs to get coached out of him. And if that gets coached out of him, and you know he's very aggressive with his mindset. So he's gonna want to attack defenses, and I like that if you can do it skillfully, right?
I like
So
it.
I think
Like Caleb Williams is trying to learn that.
trying to learn, right?
Hmm.
So I think at number 10, it's worth the gamble.
I like it. Okay. All right. At number 11, I'm gonna do what the pack. What? No, sorry, not the Packers. At number 11, I'm gonna do what a team would do after they see Cam Ward go. They're gonna take the next quarterback because they panic and they'd be like, oh no, this player's gone. That's what happens in NFL drafts. That's what happens in fantasy drafts. Dynasty drafts are no different. I'm gonna go Shador Sanders. I actually like him better than Cam Ward, a little bit. It's really close. I understand why people like Cam better, but I like the completion. I just like his accuracy.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned he doesn't have the arm strength. Um, that is one thing that really scares me. He's overconfident in his arm talent, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do that in the NFL. And he takes too many negative plays, and I don't know if the
No,
pocket
this
presence is
this is
there.
a good
Like he
spot for
didn't play against
Shadur as
elite enough
well.
competition, so
Yes.
it's either going to pop up or it's. But I think he could end up being like Bo Nix and actually be a starter in the NFL. I think people are too down on him. If he's there for
Yeah.
me in the second round, that's going to be an option for me.
And
Even though I
he's a
don't really
very
need
smart.
a
He's
Shador
very
Sanders,
he's
but
very smart from what I understand.
he's
With NFL,
exactly.
for an NFL quarterback coming in, which is good. He's got a lot of positives. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
positives there. And the negative is where he ends up. It looks like Cleveland to me, but
Four six
the
eight.
negative
He's
is
23. Yeah,
where
Cleveland.
he ends
That's
up.
gonna suck.
But
Same
he's
with
gonna
Cam
get a
Ward though.
shot.
Frankly, like
Yeah,
Cam, if Cam
same
lands
thing.
on the wrong roster, it's like Carolina all over again. Bryce Young, they didn't surround him with enough talent. And look, I mean, he did start looking a little bit better last year, but he doesn't
Yeah.
have starting NFL
Yeah.
caliber talent around him.
And sometimes it takes a few years, and that's why but these guys are, when they get picked 1, 2, and 3, like Shador, Cam Ward, but NFL draft capital, they're gonna get every opportunity to succeed no matter what team they're on. So I
Yep.
like the Shador Sanders pick there, Isaac. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I think it's realistic. I do think there's a really good chance 2 quarterbacks go in the first round. It happens. But we got one more pick. It's pick number 12.
Who's it? Who's
You
up?
got well, here's who's been picked. You got Genty, Omarion Hampton, Ted McMillan, Travion Henderson, Luther Burden, Tyler Warren, Matthew Golden, Caleb Johnson, Dylan Sampson, Cam Ward, and Shador. So Buka's still there, and there's still some running backs. Junkins is still there. Um, Let me look. Running backs.
I
Junkins
know
is
who's
there.
available.
Devin Neal, Scatabo at receiver. I think it's Igbuka. You got a tight end. You could
Mhm.
shock with a quarterback. What you thinking?
Oh, it's definitely going to be a Egbuka here at 12. He's a first round talent. He's going to get taken in the first round of the NFL draft. And I think it's good value at the 112 in the dynasty draft to get an Egbuka type. What are take a look at his comps, his NFL
Six
comps real
one.
quick.
He's 6'1", 202 pounds.
Right.
Um, four
No,
three
his
sack.
comps, not his stats, like who he's
Oh, sorry.
comped to.
Ricky Pearsall, Donnie Mitchell, Kadarius Tony.
All right, those, I'm not agreeing with those
Uh,
comps too much.
I'm reading them and I'm like, no, those are not great
This guy
at all.
is this guy is a great route runner. He does everything really well from the wide receiver position. He's going to be able to step in and he can play X, he can play slot, he can play in multiple positions for a team. He's probably going to be the higher targeted a receiver on a roster unless there's a superstar next to him. He's going to come in and be fantasy relevant wide receiver, probably two, right away, and can develop into a one. Agbuka, just there's just not very many negatives here that I've been able to pull out from him. You go for your home runs with Luther Burden, right? You go for that. You swing for the fences with a Burden. Agbuka is going to be year in and year out. You're going to get wide receiver two production probably from him, at least minimal. His floor is so high. So yeah, he's worthy of a 112 pick here, unless your team needs to swing for the fences. But even so, those those picks like a Luther Burden or those are off the board. So.
One thing I'm concerned about with Igbuka is his strength. We'll see if he can build that up. They're saying he can get pushed off the line. He struggles with blocking, so we'll see if he has the NFL strength soon.
Mhm.
All right, I'm going to show everybody our first round. I'm kind of excited. Okay, so here's what we did. Here's our picks. So number one overall, Mike Igbuka. Okay, so Dad over number one overall. I took Ashton Genty, and then who'd you go with?
Omari and Hampton, number two.
Nice. Number three, I took Ted McMillan.
And number four, Trevian Henderson from Ohio State, running back.
I like it. I took Luther Burden at 5.
That Luther Burden pick is good there because of
Mm-hmm.
his high ceiling potential. Tyler Warren, the tight end, comes off the board at 6.
I love it. Matthew Golden, who I'm a really, really big fan of. He's been flying up boards a lot. At 7. Who'd you go with at 8?
Caleb Johnson, because I love his running style. I think he's a naturally gifted runner.
I shocked with the Dylan Sampson pick. I don't think Dad knew that I liked this guy so much. I just tipped my hand. I love this electric speed. If he can break tackles at the NFL level, I think he's actually going to be a future 3-down starter. Hopefully, that's my hope.
Wow. That
Mm-hmm.
was a little surprising for me. I went with Cam Ward, the first quarterback off the board. I think that he's got the potential to be a fantasy relevant starter, and that's and getting him at 10 is good value.
I went Shador Sanders because I think that when one quarterback goes, another tends to, and I think there's a really good chance two quarterbacks go in a 12 team dynasty PPR draft. That's not a super flex. Teams are gonna want young quarterbacks. There's a high premium on those. And I think Shador. I'm a big fan of him. He's faster than Cam Ward. I think he
Yeah.
processes the field better. I think he's a little more accurate.
Yeah.
I think I'm curious how he's gonna do in the NFL. And then
And
at
then
12,
it's funny because what we hear in dynasty circles is, this wide receiver class is just not as good as last year. And maybe it's not. It's not, right? And the running back class is better. It's very deep. But
mhm,
we went with Emeka Egbuka here. He's the fourth receiver in the first round, right? Only four running backs in the first
two,
round.
three, four,
So we're
five.
equal. How
Five
many running
running backs.
backs? Five
I
running
got
backs.
Genty, Hampton,
There you
Henderson.
go.
That's 3. Caleb Johnson, Dylan Sampson. So 5 running backs.
So we still get
Uh,
four receivers taken, a
oh,
tight end and two quarterbacks.
yeah,
Um,
good
it just
breakdown.
tells you that there is some talent at the top end of this receiver class. It's not Malik Neighbors or potentially Marvin Harris Jr. uh, level. They don't think Tet is going to be quite that level, but Tet could go 4 or 5 or in the top 10. He probably will. And Luther Burden could also. So because of his high ceiling potential. So
This
Golden's going to
this
go.
is fun.
Golden's going to go in the top 15 to 20, and then there could be two or three other receivers that go in the first round again this year. So to me, that's interesting. Agbuka goes number 12. I thought he
I
would
like
go a
it.
little earlier.
I did too, but I think the two quarterbacks make sense. I think that's a pretty realistic first round mock. Um,
Very good.
that was fun, Dad. That was fun. I enjoyed that breakdown. That was
Awesome.
good.
It
You
was
did
good.
good. Okay, so people, you've been enjoying our videos. I hadn't even told Dad yet. Um, our NFC North mock is up to almost 200 views, which is pretty awesome. Thank
Nice.
you for watching, guys. It just keeps surging up. Our Packers Bears one. We'll have another. I'm gonna have another one of those soon. Our Packers Bears one. Thank you for over 320 views. Let's get this one going. It's my first. It's our first.
For those who like
Uh,
Dynasty.
yeah, it's our first Dynasty one. We'll have more of these periodically. I'm excited because our draft is in the end of July. We got about 4.5 months, so I'll probably have like 10 of these at least until then. So look out for these periodically. Go give us some grades. Give us your breakdown on what you think was what you liked here. I'm gonna post it on Twitter. I know a lot of Dynasty people. I'm curious what their thoughts are. But please go subscribe to the channel. Over 700. I want to hit 750 soon. My goal by the draft is to get close to 1,000 as I can. You can expect more breakdowns. We'll have some positional breakdowns in the future, and obviously some more mock drafts. But I'll be back with the live show tomorrow talking about NFL free agency. I'm excited.
Sounds great, Isaac. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, quick prediction. You think the Packers sign anybody tomorrow?
Nope.
Think they sign anybody by Wednesday?
No.
I agree. I don't think so either. I don't think they're gonna do it. If they do, it'll be B, C level players. I agree with you. I'm kind of sad. I want them to take a swing. They need to, but I don't think they're gonna do it. So I agree. But all right, Dad, that was fun. Thanks
Yeah.
everybody. We'll see you guys soon.